Go for it.
No, that's all right. So, Laura, let's talk about this new reality for all of us. It just never had, I don't have anybody here that ever collected up front for appraisals. We used to do it. I used to do it when I first got in the business. And then once I opened this company, I said, this is dumb. Just so I've always done that. And so it's definitely uncharted waters for everybody here. Like, how do you navigate that conversation? And it's certainly something that like it is industry standard that everybody collects up front for appraisal. So it's just some language that we need help with that would love to hear. You shared some pretty good when I talked to you about it, of what you had said. So I'll let you take it from here and just every guys just open Q&A after she shares what she says. And I will tell you that some of the technical issues that you brought up, Giuseppe, on the link and things like that, you're getting an email later today from Kara. It'll be today where she is outlining everything that has taken place since we first launched it. There were some glitches, but I think all of those have been addressed. So, and then she's going to be open for Q&A after that, or not Q&A, but any feedback that you have. She wants to put together a whole Q&A thing on it. But go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, so when it first came up, I kind of reached out to Dave and I was like, what's the big deal? I'm like, am I missing something? Because I have been collecting for appraisals up front for probably over 5 years, if not more. Everywhere I've worked, it's just been a policy that we had people pay for them. And so my conversations happen. I actually will have the conversations with my buyers at my dreams and goals call, so that they understand. I use the word setting expectations a lot to ensure success. And so I will say something along the lines of, I know we've talked about down payment and we've talked about what it takes to kind of get us to a loan approval, but I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that fall outside of the box, meaning you're going to have an inspection on the property. You're going to have to pay for that outside of the transaction. That's something that you should be doing. It's good for your best interest to do an inspection. If you need a sewer scope, if you need any of those things, those are all going to be things that you need to plan on having outside of your outside of pocket, outside of earnest money, things like that. And on the mortgage side, we're going to do an appraisal, and the appraisal is actually for us as the lender to make sure that the money that we're loaning you is on a collateral that is worth the money that we're loaning you. And so to do that, we have to get a independent third party, an appraiser, to go out, pull comps on the property, and be able to make sure that we as the lender are protected in case you were to default on the loan. Because of the third party, we have to pay them directly when the appraisal is ordered. So you're going to get a link from, in this case, Appraisal Shield, that says, we need you to pay for the appraisal. It's going to be somewhere probably between $700-800, and you will pay for that upfront outside of closing, and that'll be the only thing that you pay for outside of closing as part of the loan process. So I cover both the real estate side of things and the mortgage side of things, and I just explained to them this. I mean, it's just a matter of fact. It's just the way that it is. I don't highlight it in any way, and I don't go into any further detail. I just explain what it is, how it's going to show up, and to take care of it as soon as possible, because we can't meet the dates of the contract if we don't do that. And I was talking to Dave too. Part of the process, if your agents that you're doing business with are not used to you charging for the appraisal up front, and they've got your inspection resolution date really close to your appraisal date on your contract, you should be reaching out to your agents right up front and saying, hey, I need a couple extra days because I can't have an inspection resolution on Monday and my appraisal due date back on Wednesday. And so I'm always looking at my contract to make sure that those dates are spaced out enough to be able to accommodate us getting the appraisal back. But I honestly can tell you that I have not had a single borrower in probably 5 years give me any sort of pushback or any issues. They understand appraisal has to get done, and it's just something that they appreciate hearing upfront instead of just getting something, I'm sure, down the line that says, oh, by the way, this is something that you need to take care of.
Questions, guys, especially around the inspection resolution thing, because Ryan and I were talking about it a little bit, and it was these fast closings that we do, that we offer, like navigating that conversation as well. How does that work?
Yep. So when I get the contract in, if the dates are super close, it's a conversation that I have with the buyer's agent. I call and say, hey, I'm looking at these dates. Was there a reason why this is so close, and try and figure out what the reasoning is behind it. Sometimes it's just the fact of, oh, I just did it by mistake. I just counted 3 days or whatever. It's not a big deal. I'll move it. Other times he's like, yeah, it was part of our negotiation with the seller against another offer that we had to, have a quick inspection and a quick appraisal. And what I've done in the past to appease that is say, hey, we're going to call the appraiser, order the appraisal, get it on the books, get it on a calendar, but that the appraisal's not moving forward until he receives payment. And so we've done that before, where we'll order it through the appraisal company and say, can you reach out and get this set? They're working through inspection resolution. We're looking to hopefully have it done on this day. And so the appraiser can at least reach out, get it scheduled, and that date will fall after the inspection resolution. And so everything is fine. I will do that in quicker timeframes, but it's probably like 1 out of every 5 that I have to do that.
What about just someone cancels on inspections? How do they get their money back?
I will explain to them that if the appraiser, let's just say the appraiser goes out and does the appraisal, and then for some reason the inspection didn't notice a big crack in the foundation, and so the appraiser goes out and appraiser's like, there's this big crack in the foundation, we need to get that fixed. Hello. I will let the buyers know up front, if the appraiser goes out to the property, he's going to get paid for the appraisal. And so it's sort of a fine walking line of saying, hey, there is a potential of you losing $700 if the inspection doesn't get done correctly, or if there are items on the appraisal that come back and the seller isn't willing to fix the items that are on the appraisal, there is a chance that money is going to get paid to the appraiser. But, I sort of will use the analogy of, when you go to work, you get paid, the appraiser has to get paid. And I'll use it with more kitten gloves than that, but that's really the end here is, if the appraiser goes out to the property, he's going to charge us for the appraisal. It's not our fault that the inspector didn't notice there was a crack in the foundation and nobody told us. Not our fault that the seller isn't going to replace the roof and fix the, siding or whatever might come up. I put it heavily on the fact that the appraiser will have to get paid before he goes out to do the inspection. And once he goes out to do the inspection, he's been paid for the appraisal.
So in the situation where, because I would think that, let's say the appraiser goes to inspect the property, because I know if this was Matt George, he inspected the property. He's like, dude, there's a crack in the foundation. I'm not going to complete the appraisal until you tell me that you're doing this, because, and I don't know if crack in the foundation is a good example, but let's say it is. I know there would be a partial charge for that. There wouldn't be a full charge for that. So, if the appraiser, what's that?
Are you wondering more about like the fundamentals of how somebody gets refunded if we order it, but the appraiser doesn't go out yet, kind of thing? Like, I guess that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, I'm assuming
that's more of a Dave question, Kara question, right?
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Correct. I mean,
Right.
thanks, Laura, for stepping in. Yeah, I mean, I'm good with the mechanics of, explaining, of
Yeah.
course,
Right.
your
And
money's
upfront.
on the line. You choose to do a 10-day closing to be competitive. We have to order in day one, the money's
Right.
gone.
I mean, it's easy. Yeah.
But I'm thinking more, and maybe Kara's email explained this, but maybe I'm just not as bright as the average loan officer that she's used to working with. So
I'm
the
pretty sure you
money
are.
that,
So
like an FHA refinance, right? I thought they couldn't get back more than $500. How are we crediting them the money for a past client refi? That's one thing. Some people don't want to get money back. So how are we crediting them that money? Is Appraisal Shield somehow refunding that money and we're being billed for it? Or that I just need to know how to explain it when it comes up. And so I
Yeah.
don't know
gotcha.
who's answering this, but
Yeah, I do
Well,
think that there was a little bit of here's what we're doing without looking at the mechanics of our whole refi promo situation. To be honest, I think we kind of just did it without looking at how to navigate this the best way we can. So now we need to work backwards because I do agree with G. Like we've told clients for 5 years that they're not going to be charged for an appraisal, and now they are. And there's so much that goes on with that.
That's right. Now you're right, because we've said no lender fee, no appraisal fee. I know what we've been saying because that's been the thing. Go ahead, Casey.
I want to bring up a few things here, guys. I think what we have to look at is it's a loss mitigation, right? Like, how do we look at how we're losing on this cost of appraisals, and how do we resolve that?
Yeah,
Right, and
I
that's
agree.
where we have to. That's where we have to kind of figure that all out. Like, how does this play into it? So I brought this up, Dave. Like, I said this to you a week, 2 weeks ago, or whatever, on the past client refi. I think that's where we're going to see the most friction. I had a couple conversations with some pretty high producing loan officers at other companies as well, and asked them what their policies were. And just in full transparency, one of them said, "Hey, yeah, we don't charge, right? Like we don't charge up front." And like same thing that we had done in the past, right? So that doesn't really solve anything, right? Because you're still having that loss on the company if we have an appraisal that we have to eat the cost of,
Well,
right? So that doesn't
why is
work,
it
right?
we?
The other
Like,
it
should go
option
back to
was
the LO, right?
Yeah,
We've
that-
had a couple where like
bingo.
I felt bad for the situation. I'm like, take it out of my P&L account. I'll pay for it. Or they take it out of my commissions. Like, why is the branch paying for this? How can we get to $100,000 of lost appraisal money without
It was
LOs being held accountable?
The narrative. If somebody told you the narrative was $100,000 in lost appraisal money, it was not. It was $18,000. We've lost over $100,000 in credit report money. That's
okay.
a different subject.
So
different.
to your
Okay.
point, G, that was what the other LO that I talked to about. He said it's on the responsibility of the LO. So it's up to their discretion whether they prefer to charge the borrower ahead of time or they're liable for the cost.
Right. I think from a refi perspective, that makes the most sense. And if we're getting, is there any way to collect credit card information better? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I know that, like, yeah, we didn't charge the client. Like, did we look at the credit card auth form?
Yeah.
Did we
Here's
even
what
try
Closures
to?
came
Like,
in.
there's,
Yeah.
like, or do we just say, oh, fuck, okay, they did, we just like they didn't close,
Here's what
right? So we
happens.
didn't charge
Here's what
them, right?
happens.
Like,
Most of the time, the customer doesn't fill out the credit card authorization.
okay.
And the package comes back, and then nobody's like, I need you to fill this out. So,
Is
that's-
there a better way though, right? Like, is there a better way to make those fields required? That's the thing. Those fields aren't, it's as easy as make those fields required and then they can't complete the disclosures until they do. They just weren't required. Like, it's as simple as that, right? So I think that's my 2 cents.
Can we set up an Etsy shop with a credit card link?
Right. Can we
It's like,
do we have a link?
you
It's
need to
21st
pay this
century,
and
right?
then
Can
we
have a
will
payment
order it.
link?
Or you need to enter this information and then we will order it.
Yeah. Like,
And then if we get a client that's actually going to go to the extent of lying on that and putting in a fake number, then it's like, okay, then it goes to the LO. It's our responsibility. Like, I've never heard of, no one's ever come to me and said, hey, we have, I know Andy Shire got fired for that. when I first started, for he
And
had
the
like
narratives that float around this company are so funny. That's not why he got fired. That's something I discovered when I fired him.
Anyway,
anyways, yeah, he had like a stack of appraisals in his desk that hadn't been collected for. But
I remember the dollar amount vividly, $4,500
yeah, 10 appraisals.
in appraisals. I don't know the answer to that question. That's a good question. Is if we could have a mandatory form and part of the income, it's part of the application. I'm not sure that's
No, not the application, the
not-
disclosure package, because that's where it's coming.
That's what I
through
mean in the
disclosure.
disclosure package. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's possible or not.
I'm
It's
sure it
you have to
is.
fill this out.
I mean, you can make fields either required or not,
Yeah, but
That's my guess.
we don't currently have the fields, is what I'm saying. It's not as simple as like, oh, just create. There's a credit card field in Encompass, and we're not using it because there isn't one like that. So
What does the disclosure look like? I mean, is this something we're
it's just
actually
it's just
they
like
have-
it's like a Word doc that they can fill out. It's like a PDF.
they can fill it out on their computer? Like we're not, because I'm
That's
just
my
thinking,
understanding of it.
if
I've
they
never
have to
actually-
print it out, then yeah, that's like an extra step
Yeah,
for
they
a
don't.
lazy society that doesn't
Yeah.
have a printer. That's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not going to fill it out.
No, but what you can do, which is what I did on my refinance, is just click just don't fill out the fields, and then you're just done. So that's the only thing.
That's nice.
Yeah, and I like
No,
to
I'm
your
not
point.
not gonna complete this one.
there's
there's also like, hey, on a refi, on the FHA thing, yeah, you only get $500 back, right? Like, is the solution like, hey, we continue to charge for these things, and then we say, hey, on a purchase, it's the same thing as an inspection, right? The borrower has to pay for inspection. You also have to pay for appraisal.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good with that on purchase. All
Yeah,
day.
it's just the past client
All day.
refi promo. It's how do we frame that conversation? Like, is it, hey, you know what? You have to pay for this up front. We are crediting you for it. And then we always make sure that their CD is balanced with 721.25 coming back to them. I don't know if that's a solution.
I will tell you, me personally, if someone was trying to tell me that I should refinance and I need to give them $700 right now, I would feel
I check with my service.
after you told it was free.
yeah, it would be like, ooh, okay, wait a minute, right? Even though if you said I'm gonna get that money back, like $700 is not a small number. There are people that don't like using credit cards. So that's literally money out of their bank account. And there's not a lot of people that have hundreds of thousands of dollars, or just thousands of dollars in their bank account. So it's just one of those things like
$700 less on a loan is not the same as $700 out of your checking account.
correct.
It's fine for purchases. It needs to be changed for refis.
Well, let's see. I think one of the solutions I heard that I like is that if we can make it mandatory that credit card, that form that you said you didn't have to fill out is
Yeah.
mandatorily filled out. And then we're just doing the thing we've always done on Zenith Refi promo, except you guys got to start having that conversation with the borrower up front that if for some reason we appraise the house and the value isn't there and we can't do the refinance, I'm going to be running your credit card for the cost of the appraisal.
Yeah, I mean that definitely
Click
brings
here
up
to
the
acknowledge
conversation.
that or something like that is like,
Yeah.
and maybe that's part of that form that would be in the refinance
That would be more-
disclosure package.
The hardest part of that is I've got so many clients in that territory where I'm like, please hope the appraisal comes back right now. Like I've got way too many clients in that land that put down 3 or 5%, and I'm like, please, even 10,
Well, that's the risk, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
so-
That's the thing is it's just a conversation to be had.
Yeah,
but I
but
get it.
as long as they know that, I feel like
Yeah.
I've had that conversation with everyone when we need an appraisal, where it's like, hey, if we're thinking like we've done all our research, they tell us the value 630, Redfin, whatever, is showing me like 575. I'm like, okay, well, here's what I'm seeing. So just so you know, we have to do an appraisal and you have to fill out this form.
Yeah.
With your disclosures, but
It's
like
matter of
now
fact, I think-
coming to learn that they don't really have to fill it out, that's different.
I mean, is there a way that, we can have a link that takes their credit card and we authorize $1 or something, like I'm no businessman, but I feel like that should be relatively easy to do. Right.
I am a businessman and I have no idea if that's relatively easy to do or not. I don't know
I
what
mean,
that
there's
means.
there's little businesses that that have
Yeah.
a shop account,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
like able to do this stuff.
I'm
So
not
you
worried
got-
about the charge as much as I am The
I'm just thinking it's like collection, right? Like the thing about manual collection is they could lie. If they have to do it on a payment link, it's
Yeah.
100% certain we have their credit card information.
Yeah.
Well, and are you talking in a past client refi scenario where
Yes.
you're looking at value like that?
Yes.
I mean, shit. Like
Realtor.
if you're talking to them about a refinance and we say, hey, if this doesn't appraise, you're on the hook for the appraisal value. Are they going to want to do it? Or do you say, hey, we have this past client refi promo, like we are including the cost of the appraisal. Like that's part of the deal. We can't tell them they have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And then where does that cost go? Does
There
that
will
go
be
to
a
your
lot
P&L?
more apprehension.
Wait. Say that again, Casey.
Part of their past client refi promo is that we cover cost of appraisal. If we can't do the loan, is that
If you
in there
close,
Yeah. If you
does
can't close
it say that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if it says
I don't know.
that,
That's what
but
I'm asking. Does it say that?
I can certainly update everything to say, like, of course,
I
the
know
customer isn't
but
expecting us to try to get them a refi. It didn't go through,
Well,
so we'll eat the $700.
that's where you haven't talked to a client recently because you feel like I see where you're coming from, Dave. Trust me, I get it. I get where you're coming from. The client's perception is free appraisal, no lending fee. Right? So when they're like, wait, what? I have to like I get where Casey's saying because that's what we've sold, right? And so I get why like you have to close on the loan because we got to make money on it, but like there is definitely going to be a little bit of like, so that's the catch, you know? I knew there was a catch, you know, like that, like just a little bit of that because of the way we've explained it over the years. Where it's like we waive all the lending fees, you know, like we'll cover.
And here's the thing on that, like I'm okay eating that cost.
And that's the
Like,
thing is like I'm
if
going
it's
to
a
build my
past
bank
client
up to where I
refi,
can.
I wouldn't be, but if you guys want to eat the cost for them, that's on you. I would never do.
Well,
I would
I can't
never.
speak
I would
for
never do
everybody.
that. I shouldn't say I would never do that. If I had a customer that was losing his shit over it, I would do it, but I wouldn't expect to do it at all. That's ridiculous, in my opinion, because this is pay to play. I mean, you can't like, oh yeah, I mean, try to get a refinance, but if it doesn't work, you eat the appraisal. I would be amazed if a customer expected me to do that. $700 out of pocket. That's crazy. But you guys are saying that you have customers that would expect that. So let's make sure, first of all, let's clean up if the language isn't in there on the Zenith Refi program on the certificate that we're sending it out, then we'll get it added so that it's really clear. Like in the event if we're covering the cost of your appraisal, and in the event that the house doesn't appraise, you're still responsible for the cost of that appraisal because I can only cover it if you close the loan. I think I would be surprised if a customer wouldn't.
Yeah.
I've
Big
had
bold
issues
writing
with that.
on the disclosure on that. Easy.
What's that?
Big bold writing highlighted on with that sentence on
Yeah.
the disclosure that they have to enter.
Mhm.
But I mean, I think for past client refis, I would be okay signing something as part of my commission agreement that says, hey, if we don't, whoever's tracking it, if something falls through the cracks and we're losing the money on the appraisal, then I'm responsible for it. So I get to decide. Do I want
Yeah.
to call the client and tell them to pay for it, or do I want to just
Hey, if
pay for
I'm
it?
okay with that too, if you guys are willing to cover the cost and when they don't pay, again, I would never advise anyone to do that. But if you're cool with it, then yeah, we can make that part of it.
I mean, it's in the nature of the environment that we're in and what we have sold and told the clients. I mean, I can tell you every refinance that I'm in the higher LTVs, I have no fucking clue what the appraisal is going to come back at. So it's hard for me to be like, dude, I want to save you money, and I like and give them any sort of confidence that we're going to be able to do the refinance. And then be like, sorry, like you could actually just be fucked and lose $700 and like, sorry, like I do want to help clients. And if I can use my bank, I mean, I've got $3,000 of reserve on every loan basically right now. Like I'm happy to use that to help clients if it does come in low, because that stinks. Like that really does.
They'll never come back.
Right. It just stinks. Like, okay, actually, sorry, you can't do refinance. And I also got to bang your car for $700.
Maybe
How's that
split it
feel?
with them, Ryan. That helps.
Like that's the thing is like I feel for people and I get from a business perspective, like it's just that's a hard thing to walk through with clients for
You
sure.
guys if you're willing to do that, that's fine with me.
Yep. I am.
Why are you laughing?
Because I can tell that you're like, oh, whatever, it's
I
like
wouldn't do it.
I know,
I
know
said
you
if you
wouldn't, but
guys are
you're not a
fine with
loan
it.
officer. That's why.
Yeah, no,
You're a business
No, it
owner.
should just be our
okay.
call at the end. Like at the end of the month, we're reviewing all our financials. Like, hey, by the way, we have one appraisal here that we didn't collect for. How do you want to
Yeah,
handle it? And then
yeah.
that's on us to decide how we want to handle it.
Well, we can do it real time, case by case as it's going on. So, if it doesn't come through, it doesn't come through. We'll know about it. And like, what are we doing with the appraisal? What
Yeah.
we do. But first, I want to see if we can get so I'll follow up with Kara to see if we can get the programming set up to where that is not an option that you don't fill that out. So that would be the first thing. And then we'll work on like updating the information regarding the on your comp that on appraisals that weren't collected. We'll ask you if you want to collect for it, and if not, it'll either if you don't have reserve, it'll come out of your commissions. If you do have reserve, it'll come out of reserve.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for all of us to just be aware of, right? Like, hey, if we, I don't know what the solution exactly is yet, right? But if that's on purchases and we're saying like you have to have this credit card authorization filled out and you are on the hook for the appraisal if things fall through, just something that we'd all be aware of, right? And making sure that that's part of the conversation and making sure that that's filled out and completed correctly. But
then we just need someone to look at it.
Yeah.
On the
The
purchase,
disclosures come back.
on the purchase side, you're talking about on the refi side.
Yeah, purchase, I'm okay doing it.
The way,
Upfront.
Yeah.
upfront.
yeah,
That's easy.
I think
That's-
purchase
that's-
is no problem.
It even
That's an easy combo.
it attaches them, commits them to you even more.
Exactly.
So
The one question I actually got a text this morning on it just because I haven't even this is going to be a kindergarten level question here. Like
sweet.
so I hope that you guys don't laugh at me, but the client, I'll just read you the text. Hey, we're curious about how closing costs and credits would be calculated. Initially, I thought the appraisal would be part of closing costs, but since we pay for it, it's not under the credit. Like, can we still apply that credit to the appraisal? And I guess is like there's like I see what they're saying where it's like, well, it's in the closing costs, but I already paid for it. Like, what's the balancing of those costs on a closing disclosure when they pay for it? And like, thank you, Jacqueline, if you can explain that to me so I know how to tell my clients properly.
So it's
'cause I
going to
have no
show
idea.
up in there if you have a CD handy, and I don't have anything in front of me. So
Yeah.
on the far, so you've got the column that you're used to looking at. It's going to show all of your debits and credits and all of that stuff. And then there's a third column or fourth column that says POCB, and it's paid outside of closing borrower. So it does show up in all of your costs. It's showing it as a credit, or excuse me, as the cost, but then it's been paid by the borrower up front. So then if you're giving them a $500 credit or whatever it is for the appraisal, $700, then it's just going to go to the other stuff. So
Yeah.
they're still bringing that much less to closing because you're crediting it. They paid it outside of closing. So it's just like if you had like a CHAFA deal where you're reimbursing the borrower for their prepaid home inspection with the seller credit or something like that. So they're getting some of that money like back. You're just moving it from one pocket to the other pocket is all it is. So it's going to show up on the closing disclosure because it's part of the loan, and it'll just say paid outside of closing instead of a debit.
And so in like a max closing cost, like seller paid closing costs situation, there is then at that point, if they paid for the appraisal outside of closing with their earnest money and then what they're bringing the day of closing, that could actually be less than technically their down payment because they've already
They
paid for
paid
their
it
closing
outside
costs
of
ahead of
closing.
time.
It becomes part of their cash in the transaction.
It becomes part of their contributions to the
their minimum
transaction. The
contribution.
only
Okay.
Yeah, the only
That's
place where I
that-
see that potentially being an issue, and Laura, you might be about to say this too, is if it goes on a true credit card, you can't count it as
Part of your down.
a contribution. So the best case scenario is telling clients, because I'll tell clients, any of my clients on CHAFA deals, it's write a check for your inspection or put it on a debit card.
Oh, so interesting.
You
So
can't finance closing costs like that.
see, that's where this issue comes in then, is now we're getting
Yeah.
closing costs for all the closing costs, including the appraisal, when really most clients are probably gonna, okay.
So if you've got, and I mean, it's not every single transaction that you're going to need to have that specific of a conversation, but I'd say if you've got like a Chaffa deal and we're trying to get them all or most of their earnest money back, then I would tell them, be like, hey, your home inspection, you need to pay for that with a check or with a debit card, because we're probably going to need to get you reimbursed for it or credit you for it. And I can't do that if you put it on a credit card.
Fook me. Yeah, that is a conversation that I've got 2 clients like that, a max Chaffa and then a max closing cost like 10% down. So, all right, cool.
Because I
This is
think
definitely
a lot
something
of
new.
people would just default to a credit card, not a debit card.
Right, exactly. I would. I mean, give me some points.
Yeah.
All right, just another thing to navigate because you know how we usually back off $500, G. Now we
Yeah.
need to back off like $500 and the appraisal costs, I guess, or tell them they need to pay with the debit card.
Yeah. And I think maybe Kara can spend a little time just with Renee. I think Renee's a little confused on this because Rachel told me they were going back and forth on a couple CDs yesterday where Renee was showing the appraisal paid outside of closing, but then she was also reducing the lender credit just to the origination fee instead of the appraisal. I'm like, well, no, we have to pay him back for that money. And she's like, I don't think you can do that. And so, yeah.
Obviously we need to get some more clarity around the way these things are closing up. So, and didn't foresee, the issues that the collecting upfront for appraisals would be on the Zenith Refi promo. So I apologize for that. Laura wanted to add something about, tell me again.
The event that
Thank
we're
you.
putting together in
Yep.
March with Deb Bird. That chick has been so hard to get a commitment out of, but she finally committed last night. And so we did have to move it to the 11th of March, which we were originally going to do it on the 8th. Now we had to move it to the 11th, which from both my research and Deborah's team's research should still be before most spring breaks. And so we have her committed now. And so I'm going to be putting some email out to everybody later this afternoon on stuff that we've discussed and putting it in the time. I'm still trying to navigate the place. I'm working with, I know G had said that the place above the Comedy Works. I've reached out to them twice and haven't heard back. So I was going to see if I could find a phone number for them today and call them today. That would be ideal.
That's actually a great spot.
Well,
Amy
and I
might
thought
have-
we would maybe have everybody gets 2 or whatever of their best agents, and then we come back to the office and we just buy lunch for 12 or 15 people instead of providing something for 150 people. And we could just bring them back to the office and then cater a lunch in after the event and maybe have something special with Deborah or something for those people or whatever. But so look for that email later today on the details I put in place. And obviously welcome. This isn't a dictatorship. This is a Zenith event. So any feedback or contribution or anything like that you might have would be welcomed. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we got that on everybody's calendar and we'll start to
Thanks, Laura.
promote the crap out of it.
Appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Run on.
Should be a fun event.
Yeah, it should be.
I got to
So
change
you'll-
my vasectomy appointment agan now. Jesus.
Oh, dang. I got to get mine scheduled. It's
I don't know what
hilarious.
to say. I don't know what to say, Chris.
Glad
do you
I can
mean?
help with that.
Congrats. I don't know. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, I don't know.
Big
All
goal.
right,
what a way to
Talk
end
you
the
later.
on that note, all right, you guys, thanks for your time, everybody, today. I will get some more clarity around this other stuff that we brought up. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.